Do you feel that school counsellors are adequately equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge to deal with these kind of situations?
I might dissect her. I might dissect her into pieces like you. So, which one do you want me to do? Dissect her or end her life in school?
In general, the school counselors, they would have had that skills. This guy, like we say, like maybe lacks empathy a bit. I don't know what's the family environment like and so on. Maybe it is beyond the scope of what the school is able to do. Sometimes the school is like, okay, but the counsellor is the last line of defense. Nowhere else to go already. Then the counsellor just have to take it lah. If your child, is maybe misbehaving, crying, and shouting in the home because he doesn't get ice cream, right? What would be an appropriate response? Most parents say, no, cannot slap lah. I said, why cannot slap? Because he's just a child lah. I said, you're right, because he's a child, maybe cannot slap.
But when else are you going to teach a child except for when they're a child?
So these parents who really believe in gentle parenting, let's change the scenario. If your kid, you are holding his hand, and then after he just let go of your hand, he want to cross the road. Do you do gentle parenting? Because this is a matter of life and death. You cannot just go like, boy, you don't run across the road, okay? You cannot. You have to go like, boy, you cannot do that, right? This is the limit. You cannot do this. You must always hold my hand. The appropriate response is really important when you're doing parenting.
We're talking about bullying.
Yes. Actually, everyone's been talking about bullying, right?
Have you been bullied as a child?
Or were you the bully?
Like a villain arc, then became a lawyer or something?
I mean, different phases in life. I think I've been on both sides of the fence.
But we're here to understand more about bullying, and we're with someone.
Yes, we are. We are with Mr. Mama Haikal, who is the senior clinical psychologist / founder of I'm Possible.
Yeah.
Although it's spelled like impossible. So welcome.
Thank you for having me here today.
With an expert opinion.
Have you seen the reels that were broadcasted by several different media outlets?
Yes, definitely. This is one of the hottest things that's going on right now. People are sharing, and I think everyone has an opinion about it.
Yeah. In this age, like I see parents coming out making their own reels, ex-educators coming out, and then sharing what should be done.
You are one of them.
Yeah, and there were several on TikTok as well. They were saying like, if I was the teacher, I would do this, I would do that.
Yeah.
For yourself, what's your reaction when you actually saw this?
When I saw this, I was quite shocked. Because I think that bullying is very common. And research has shown that maybe 1 in 4 children in school have experienced bullying. And I think this is significant.
That's very high,
But I won't be surprised to say that every one of us has experienced some form of bullying, just the dosage. I mean, I'm guessing among all of you as well, there will be some kind of jibes and all, just the dosage, whether it's a lot or not. So I think everyone has that. So I'm not surprised of what's happening. And impact of bullying is really long term, especially if they have been experiencing it for a long period of time and the severity of it, and no one comes and save them from this.
I think, of course, you did mention that you handle especially adult cases where they kind of like brought the trauma of being bullied as a child and it affected them as an adult. Could you walk us through what sort of experiences those people kind of like?
Because as a child, we have a lot of needs. And one of the needs that we would want to have as a child is that need for safety. We want to feel that the world is safe.
Right.
But if we are in that experience or in a situation where we feel that the world is not safe, people are judging us. And if we don't meet certain characteristics or criteria, and then there will be certain repercussions, it's hard for us to feel safe growing up as well, because the lens that they have will still be a very vulnerable lens that, that people will be out to get me, that I'm unsafe. And as a result, when they grow into adults, that feeling of lack of safety continue to follow with them. Quite a number of them will come in feeling anxious. They might have panic attacks. Some of them, they may not have this anxiety, but they overcompensate in other ways. Meaning they would be trying to show or try to disprove whatever these bullies have been trying to tell them. So for example, like, you're an ugly person and whatever. So they then overcompensate and show that, well, I'm not this ugly person, so you got to hit against me. But, most of these kind of qualities, you can't really measure it. Like, what is a good-looking person? What is a rich person? I have I'm not one, maybe a few of cases where they have been ridiculed because they were of the lower SES. So they work hard, try to be better, to be richer. But then again, no matter how rich you are, there will be someone better than you. So they will feel that, I haven't reached that top 5%, these other people will still want to get me.
So like, for example, in a school setting, what makes a kid want to bully someone? Is it a power thing? Is it like an assertion of control? What is it?
I would say that it is usually a power thing. And what I always try to tell people that usually when people are being bullied is that people will only choose someone that they would bully usually because they feel threatened by you.
I see.
If you are someone that is not threatening to them, like, why would I care about you? Right? Because you matter. That's why I want to do something. I'll pick something. Maybe you're good in something, but then I'll pick something else that you maybe deficient in.
Bring you down a notch.
I'll bring you down in that.
Okay.
Right? Remind other people that this person, he's good in A, but there's BC that he's not that good in, and they will try to go after them.
Right.
But I think in this case, so it's a bit different. I'm not sure what's this like power imbalance that is going on, but in this case, it seems like there's some kind of like enjoyment. If we hear the recording, there's kind of enjoyment that the
Sick
child
enjoyment.
It's worrying.
Yeah, it is worrying. And usually when bullies, even though they are bullying because they are trying to get some power, you can kind of use that kind of like empathy. You can build some kind of like compassion in them so that they can feel how other people feel. For this child or this bully, of course, I don't know who this person is. It seems like there is a bit of lack of empathy, some kind of enjoyment. And that's why it becomes sensational news.
So I'd like to ask about that because I see kids today, they grow up in a situation where information is freely available. There's certain forms of radicalization that might happen, the manosphere or whatever, red pill movement, and young kids are actually, So in that sense, that lack of empathy, how are kids raised in a sense that they become like that? Is it because of lack of human interaction between parents and kids? Or is it because it's a tablet kind of like situation where here's the tablet, you go and do your doom scrolling, there's no human to human interaction, and they're learning values over the internet, and that's why they lack some sort of empathy?
Is it the parents' fault?
I don't know whether it's a parent's fault because I don't know what's happening with the parents, but I would say there is interaction of nature and nurture. There's probably some biological temperament which allows this person to not feel what the other person is feeling, because that is a bit of biology, because even as a child, 2-3-year-old, when you see someone fall down, the child will be able to feel something for the other person. So there's some biology there, but of course there's some environmental interaction, I believe. I don't know what it is because I have had cases where people or children even where they may bully or they engage in this like aggressiveness because that's how they learn, right? If this person does something wrong, then you need to punish them. Now, where does this message of punitiveness come from? So for me as a psychologist, I normally try to see from the parents, 70%, 80% of the time, it comes from the home setting. But then of course the 20% of the time, it can be elsewhere, can be from friends, can be from school and so on. So we can't really pinpoint where it is, but I'm not sure what's this message that this child get to tell him that, no, if you want to get something, then, bully your way, be punitive in order to get what you want.
In your line of work, do you see bullies come from certain kind of household? Like, for example, single parent families. We talk about role of father, it's something like that. Like, complete families, maybe, the kid is more
affluent.
I don't know, but is this something that is totally independent of how?
Well, I think, from my experience, bullying, it doesn't really recognize race, SES, or like anyone can get bullied. But those that come to me usually is what happens to them after they get bullied. Okay. So the most harm comes when they have already been bullied and then there is further trauma to them. And what I normally see, if let's say they have been bullied in school, they go back, they tell their parents like, Mom, Dad, I feel so scared because in school. And then the mom and dad go like, in school, this is nothing. Like, you go to school just to study what? What your friends are thinking. No, last time also it was worse.
That is the
then
worst.
It becomes a double trauma and that, kind of like just accumulates and makes it worse for them. Because I would imagine, and why I say I would imagine, because most of the time that come in, they will have this double trauma or like multiple traumas. I would imagine if let's say they get bullied and then the parents come and tell them like, people are looking at you in this way, but you know what, you are still special to me. We still love you even though whatever. Like, we don't care about these things that people take. I think the vulnerability response will be different for them when they grow up as well. So it's also for parents out there who have experienced children or have children that are being bullied, your response also matters as well.
So here's the thing that I read some of the comments online. I have seen parents saying that that's why I send my kid to jiu-jitsu. If anything happens in school, he can whack back. So many different responses. Some of them are exasperated with the school situation of how they remedy bullying case because many bullying cases go unresolved. There's
And people feel like the response is too weak.
And then after that, some of them are saying things like bring back public caning. So like throughout your years of doing this, public caning, does it really work or actually it's just something performative?
Well,
Your opinion.
In my opinion, I feel that discipline is important.
Okay.
All right. But whether one should be punished or not, I think that's the debate that that is still ongoing lah.
Yes.
But I feel that punishment should happen, and the punishment should also be relevant to whatever issue or whatever behavior that is being displayed. Whether it's punishment, I think punishment where maybe if I wouldn't say that caning should not be should just be taken away. It could still be an option, but there are many steps that can be taken, and maybe we can consider caning as a last response after so many things that have been done for them.
So it's interesting. We are in a situation where we are an Asian country, but we adopt Western values in terms of raising our kids. We're very much open to things like counselling, and then but a deep part of us, we still hold back to the whole tiger mom
You
situation,
do lah, for sure. You do.
So I don't know, where are we right now in terms of understanding this space?
Dynamics of
I feel that we are better as parents. I think like most of us here at least are parents, right? I think we are getting better. Sorry to our parents if they are listening. But the way that we are managing our kids is more flexible. We know how to respond. It's not that just the kids say, okay, this happened, then we cane, we scold. We have that soft approach, we have that hard approach. But of course, not everyone does it properly or not everyone does it perfectly. And I don't think any one of us does it perfectly as well. There's this like talk of like gentle parenting. I think gentle parenting is okay, but
sorry, just maybe you can give a lowdown. What is gentle?
What is gentle?
So gentle parenting is, gentle parenting, like you don't scold the kids, don't scold, no caning. Just when the child does something wrong, like, hey, you're not supposed to do this, right? Think about it.
Does that work?
It works to a certain level,
right?
But it really depends on what the issue is. Because and I like to give this example to parents as well. If your child, is maybe misbehaving, crying, and shouting in the home because he doesn't get ice cream, right? What would be an appropriate response?
I don't know,
Okay,
I'm with him.
You might say slap. I would say that maybe most parents say no, cannot slap lah. I say why cannot slap? Because he's just a child lah. I say you're right, because he's a child, maybe cannot slap.
But when else are you going to teach a child except for when they're a child?
Kids.
And then
Spare the cane, spoil the kid, right?
I mean,
That's the saying.
spare the rod, spoil the child.
Spoil the child,
Then sometimes do these parents who like really believe in gentle parenting, I say, okay, let's change the scenario. If your kid, let's say, and I'll make your kid even younger, right? Your kid is like 3 years old. He wants to, you are holding his hand, and then after he just let go of your hand, he wants to cross the road.
Oh, yes.
Do you do gentle parenting?
No.
Because this is a matter of life and death.
Safety.
So you cannot just go like, boy, you don't run across the road, okay? You have to go like, boy, you cannot do that, right? This is the limit. You cannot do this. You must always hold my hand. I would say that would be appropriate. So the appropriate response is really important when you're doing parenting.
So talking about appropriate responses, right? Right now, many parents are up in arms about the whole situation in the school. And I mean, I have had personal experiences with this as well. And sometimes when your kid gets bullied, you bring it up. If you're lucky and a responsible school, actually tends to the situation. Some schools, I don't know what they're doing. But their common responses would be things like counseling, doing reflections, sitting down. Then I'm thinking, it's not what you singing Kumbaya or what? You know what I mean? As a parent, I want to know, what are you going to do to the child? And now that this is in the media, it's blown up, people are going to come with pitchforks. They want justice. So how would a school environment deal with this, in your opinion?
Okay. I would say what's happening right now, people have these comments, what to do and all that. The issue, and this is my opinion, the issue is that we are trying to just resolve the symptoms.
Okay.
But resolving the symptoms doesn't really help because there's some underlying issue that needs to be resolved. Be it with the bully, be it with the school and so on. But by just addressing the symptoms, it doesn't help. So if let's say, Darren, if you say that you are hungry, right?
Okay.
You are hungry, then I say that, okay, Darren, you're hungry, right? I give you $5 lah, right?
Right.
I'm helping you, but do you still feel hungry after that?
Yeah, I mean, doesn't automatically turn into food.
Right, because what is it that you need at that point of time?
Food.
You need food. You don't need money. But I am just, this is symptoms. I try to just solve it by just giving you money. And this is what the opinion they are trying to say, like, oh, punish the kid, the school must do this, MOE must do this and do that. We are just looking at the symptom kind of level. But what's that underlying need? In the school, why is the school unable or they are paralyzed in being able to respond effectively? I think I believe there are some guidelines that is there, in place for what to do when there's bullying. Although I would say this case a bit different, then the school is paralyzed. So there's some underlying need here in the children, the teachers or the principal's ability to respond here.
But the criticism is that the guidelines have become too narrow. Because you were talking about how during your times, like sometimes
already narrow.
Yeah, exactly. It was really narrow, and sometimes the teachers will just step in and discipline the child on the spot. But nowadays, it's even more narrow.
Correct. So this is the need that is being unmet here at the school level.
Right.
Then let's say at the bully level, you can punish the child and all that. And I think as humans, we all have a strong need for justice. Like we want to see justice served.
Yes.
But if let's say what this child wants or what he needs is some kind of understanding. I know right now it's very hard to get that understanding, but maybe that's what he needs, understanding. And we cane him. What will happen? He will just become even more aggressive because his needs are being unmet. So I'm not sure what these needs are, something for us to understand. Then we can deal with this situation effectively.
So what? Sentence him to compulsory counselling?
Maybe that's what he needs, right? It could
But
be,
most MOE cases, then they'll come and say, we have already sat down. There've been like 3 sessions. We've talked a lot already. Even the parents also come down. And end up, people still feel like it didn't do much, especially, for a particular case, right, that made the news also, there was actually this statement, they talked about how it was for months actually, it was prolonged,
right.
There were repeated sessions where, everybody came down, spoke, blah, 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 but then didn't really seem to resolve the issue.
Yeah, again, I think this is the needs being unmet because when they are doing counselling at that, I would imagine it would be very a symptom like, hey, don't do this to your friend, talk to your friend. And that's what they did, right? Like, okay, shake hand, write each other letter, but underlying it, I think this child don't know how to make friends. And that need is not being met. The need for him to actually listen to the rules, like why is he not listening to rules? There needs to be some guidance that this guy need as well, and it's not being met as well. It's just a very symptom like, okay lah, do this and do that. Of course, if the need is not being met, then it would just lead you to, it will just backfire. And the same problem will still continue happening.
So as a psychologist, clinical psychologist, right? Do you feel that school counsellors are adequately equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge to deal with these kind of situations, to pick up on bullies, to deal with what is the needs, the underlying needs of the bully?
I feel that in general, the school counsellors, they would have had that skills. But in this case, it would be that possibility where, because I don't know, this guy, like we say, like maybe lacks empathy a bit. I don't know what's the family environment like and so on. Maybe it is beyond the scope of what the school is able to do. And as psychologists and counselors, we all know what our limits are. And for me, for example, if, okay, I know this is my limit, I'll send to someone else. I go here. Sometimes the school is like, okay, but the counselor is the last line of defense. Nowhere else to go already. Then the counselor just have to take it and deal with it just within their own abilities as well. Yeah. So maybe there are certain limitations that the counselors may have. I don't know. Yeah.
From your sensing, have we as a system improved the way we tackle bullying back then and now? Or there's much room for improvement in the future?
I would say that there have been improvements. There are strides made. There is a better understanding of bullying and so on. But I think as we were talking about it off cast also, like the effectiveness for the serious case is a bit blunted lah. Yeah, I'm not saying that that immediately must be
what
changed.
is the difference? Like back then, dealing with bullying versus now, like what? Oh,
I mean, there's also, I wouldn't say public caning, it's public shaming. Like, if, for example, if you bully or whatever, sometimes they'll make you stand in front of the foyer, they hang like a sign, I bullied.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, in my time, it was like that.
Shit,
like,
that
just so that you malu, so you don't do this again. So,
You're typecasted.
Sounds like a good idea. I mean, socially stigmatize the person instead of physically.
And why I say it was
harm.
effective then, when someone does a misbehavior, the punishment will be effective if it's done immediately.
Right.
And this case, the punishment takes like so long, and then after that, there's still room for or time for this person to re-offend. And when the punishment eventually comes, then by the time not so much effect really lah. I think during our time, teachers had more ability to do things. I don't think this like hanging things or whatever is actually being is
done today.
It's not done. I'm not saying that we should go to do that, but I'm wondering what can be done to make punishments more effective as well.
And immediate, huh?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for shedding some light, and I think they will spur more discussion within our community. And tell us what you think about the recent bullying case, and how would you remedy a situation like that? What
tight slap.
Should this be discussed, in fact, in Parliament, for example, existing policies and also school rules enough to prevent, extreme cases of bullying like what you've seen in the news?
Yeah.
We'll see you in the next podcast only on planb.sg. Bye-bye.